Hello, listeners. I'm KJO.
And I'm Kris.
Welcome to KJO and Kris.
Today we're going to ramble about the new trailer for Wreck-It Ralph.
50-second animated feature from Walt Disney Animation Studios. This computer-animated adventure comedy is directed by Rich Moore, who has directed multiple Simpsons and Futurama episodes. It's about a bad guy from an 80s arcade game who wants to prove that he could be a good guy.
So the trailer starts with a Tron-like arcade beginning where you see a game is being played and the lights go out and you start to hear the voice of John C. Reilly, who plays the main character of Wreck-It Ralph, and you start to understand that he is the bad guy in his game and he doesn't want to be the bad guy anymore, so that's how the movie gets going.
I'd also like to add that if you look very closely in the arcade, you could see Pac-Man to the left of the Fix-It Felix machine. From the looks of it, they didn't show too much of the arcade in the trailer. You only got brief glimpses of it, but maybe that's for the better because maybe they have something better in store in the next trailer, whenever that'll come out.
I have a feeling the arcade itself doesn't play quite as big a role as the inner workings of the game.
That could be.
There's this idea that all the games are connected through something called Game Central Station.
It's essentially the interior of a big power strip, and if you look very closely at the portals that the game characters go into to go to their respective games, you can see that they're the insides of sockets, and if you look very closely at the sockets, they say More USA, because of course, a reference to Rich Moore, the director of the film.
When I heard that John C. Reilly was going to be voicing the main character in the next Disney animated film, I wasn't really sure what to expect because I'm not especially a fan of some of his movies. I know that he's done a few really good movies that have gotten great reviews, and I haven't seen anything that's more dramatic, mostly comedy, especially Talladega Nights. I'm pretty sure that is the only thing I'm really familiar with him in. So to hear his voice as Wreck-It Ralph, it's actually a relief.
He really brings out the big guy in him.
And I like his intro. He seems like he's excited to represent Disney, and I heard stories to the contrary saying that he didn't seem very excited or enthusiastic and that it was just sort of something he did off to the side. But, I don't know. He seems like he's enjoying himself.
Well, here's the thing, though. In one of his interviews, he said, something along the lines of, which is, because I'm not a kid and I'm not a big animation fan, it's like, are you trying to imply that animation is just kid stuff? Huh? Especially Disney animation, because, of course, Disney is for family audiences, not just little kids. But people should know that by now.
So in the game, we have all of these characters, whether they're made for the movie or they're from pre-existing games. One of the things that I'm wondering is how much of the humor from Wreck-It Ralph is going to go right over the heads of people who aren't big gamers, such as myself. I'm looking at this trailer and I'm thinking, I kind of recognize that person. I think I know who that's from or what that's from. Is that person for the movie or was he already in a game himself? If all of this is just video game humor, it's going to go right past me.
I'm actually waiting to see this trailer in theaters to see what the reaction is, to see if the jokes go over everyone's heads or they get a kick out of it. Of course, I got a kick out of all of them because, I'm not a big gamer, but I'm in the know about most of the retro games from the 80s. The Bad Anon meeting was hilarious.
Yeah, I think it's a good story tool, the idea of being in a support group, but it's been done before, and hopefully they can expand on the idea and make it a little more clever, just with scripting. It's just writing can make so much of a difference for story plots like that.
I thought it did. Of course, me getting all the video game references, it really worked for me. Especially love the bit where Clyde from Pac-Man turns blue.
I love the little zombie that's right next to Ralph, and he seems so well animated. And the thing that's going through my head as he's talking is, okay, how many of these characters are either famous people because IMDb doesn't show that many credits, or people who worked on the movie, such as animators or, assistant directors or producers? Because with Pixar, I'm always thinking when I'm watching one of their movies, okay, is that a director cameo? Or, what am I missing? And so that's one of the things I'm going to be looking for in this movie is who is famous and who's worked on the movie.
It's more up in the air with a Walt Disney Animation Studios film. But I will say, though, the part with the zombie, I'm wondering if they're going to actually push the PG a bit and have a little gruesome joke where one of his eyes pops out or something. Then, whoops, let me put that back in. Also, I read somewhere in the test screenings that sitting to the left of the zombie is, I think that's Kano from Mortal Kombat. I should know this because I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fanatic, particularly the earlier games. According to the test screenings, it is him. So I'm gonna assume that is him. I heard that in the test screenings, he wrenches somebody's heart out like he does in Mortal Kombat. And I said to myself, how are they going to get that past the PG?
Wow, yeah, who knows?
Fatality. Robotnik. Hope he at least says something in the movie. Pingus.
Robotnik?
Yeah, from Sonic.
Oh, okay.
You know, Eggman. Well,
Mhm.
that's his nickname. Dr. Robotnik. I mean, I shouldn't have said Eggman because I think there's a bit of a debate on whether they should call him Eggman or not. I mean, I'm not that big of a Sonic aficionado, so if I upset any Sonic fans who don't like him being called Eggman, I am dreadfully sorry. Yeah.
So after we see Wreck-It Ralph in a support group for bad guy characters in video games, he decides to leave his game and try to find a new home in a different game. I mean, that's what I got from the video.
He's not looking for a new home per se. I mean, you could be right, but I think he's just going to another game to prove that he could be a good guy, and he goes to Hero's Duty first, the sort of Halo, sci-fi first-person shooter kind of game. It's the one where Jane Lynch's character is in Sergeant Calhoun.
And the whole time I'm watching this movie, when it comes out, I'm just going to be thinking, Sue Sylvester. I'm thinking, when is she going to make fun of his hair? It's got glee all over it, so let's try to get rid of that image and look past that. I love the idea of a character going from a 8-bit game to one of these, modern first-person shooters and just having no idea what he's got himself into.
It's so
it just
clever.
Yes, it looks hilarious. Like, oh my gosh, it looks funny.
Since when have video games gotten so violent and scary? That'd be like plucking Mario out of Super Mario Brothers and throwing him into GTA. Wait, what am I supposed to do with this thing? Actually, Robot Chicken did that. He's bathing in his own ragu.
So you have John C. Reilly as Wreck-It Ralph, you have Jane Lynch, and you have Jack McBrayer as Fix-It Felix.
Fix-It Felix Jr.
Fix-It Felix Jr.?
Yeah.
That's what his title officially is? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, the name of the game is Fix-It Felix Jr., so.
Okay,
It's a parody of Donkey Kong Jr.
Ah, I see. Alright, so you have, Jack McBrayer. I'm going to say Jack McBrayer. I'm pretty sure that's how it says.
I think it's McBrayer.
McBrayer? Okay.
Somebody correct us in the YouTube comments, please.
Okay, yes. If you know how to pronounce it, tell us, correct us, and, show us that we're wrong. Or, to make us feel better, tell us that we're right. So you have So you have the guy from 30 Rock as Fix-It Felix Jr., and there's a scene with him and the little... Okay, so here's where my game prowess ends. I have no idea what this little character is, and I'm pretty sure he is from a pre-existing game.
Schubert?
Yes. He's talking to this little character, and they're doing this little translating, sequence where he's speaking this little guy's language. The first thing I thought of was Finding Nemo Dory whale speak. That's the first thing that came to my mind, and maybe I'm just picking nits, but that scene seemed to me cringeworthy. I was just like, I hope that's a quick scene.
Really? I didn't mind it that much because, I don't know way too much about Qbert, but I do know that, little comic bubbles come out and, you get all the weird noises and such, and they're just really making fun of that more than anything, but I could see how it can be similar to Nemo a bit, but I didn't really think of the whale speak scene from Nemo when I saw that in the trailer. It's just me, though.
Of course, my mind is usually one track. Pixar.
Unless it blatantly reminds you of a DreamWorks movie.
Right. Besides all of this video game referencing, I didn't really see too much, pop culture reference outside of gaming. It seems like it's pretty much sticks to one theme.
Good. That's good.
So that'll be good for gamers. Won't be as great for people who are not gamers, such as myself. I said the last game I played, my brother asked me the other day, what was the last game you played? And I said, computer or Xbox? And he said, either. And I said, okay. Last Xbox game I played was Battlefront 2. And the last PC game I played was our really old CD of Knights of the Old Republic and Jedi Knight 2 Dark Forces. Dark Force, how's it? Jedi Knight 2 Dark Forces. No, wait, how's it? I forget what it's called. Gee.
Not going in the video.
Jedi Knight Dark Forces. Okay. I did play Oblivion. I did play the Elder Scrolls 2. What was it? 5? Elder Scrolls 5? Oblivion?
Oblivion, I think, is the fourth one. Skyrim, I think. Tell you the truth, I'm not, I don't know much about today's games. I'm more of an older game kind of person.
Okay. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about, is hopefully this movie has more to offer to people other than just gamers. Of course, it's beautiful animation. It really reminds me of Tangled, which how much of Tangled's visual success did they depend on for the stylizing of this movie? You see a lot of similarities in the character design, at least I do. And I love Tangled. I think it's a beautiful film, and so I like that this movie is similar, but at the same time, I hope that as it goes from video game to video game, it changes dramatically in style.
It looks like it has, because if you look at Ralph, he has a very simplistic design, but then you look at the characters in Hero's Duty, and they look a little bit more realistic. Like, if you look at the designs of Sergeant Calhoun, they're more realistic rather than the caricatured Disney style, which is pretty cool because I think the movie's going to have some sort of, it's going to poke fun at today's video games and such, and how they're being more realistic. I was discussing this with someone on Facebook the other day, and it was a very interesting discussion about how today's games, from our point of view, that they're getting more realistic, whereas the older ones and, Nintendo's games don't aim for realism, but just, aim to look, artistic, beautiful. The other game that Ralph gets into is called Sugar Rush. It's kind of like a candy-coated parody of Mario Kart. It's basically a race game in Candyland.
Is that the game with Sarah Silverman's character?
Yes, Vanellope von Schweetz.
Okay, and I was pointing out before we started recording that she reminds me of Agnes from Despicable Me.
She looks like her, indeed.
Just a couple of years older.
The only thing I'm kind of worried about, though, is she going to be annoying as hell? Because some of the older Disney films that came out in the last 10 years, they have the annoying sidekicks and, like the character that for the kids to laugh at. And I just hope that she isn't too obnoxious. I heard that she's supposed to be a sort of little sister to Wreck-It Ralph.
Do you think she'll accompany him, like as a companion throughout the movie once he's met her?
I have a feeling that she will. Some of those sidekicks range from mildly tolerable to just plain annoying. Coda from Brother Bear comes to mind. The position of annoying talking animals has been taken. One of the only funny parts from Shrek 2 that actually isn't a pop culture reference.
I actually don't find Donkey as annoying as Shrek does.
Well, that's the reason why we don't find Donkey that annoying, is because he's meant to be annoying, so we already know that from the start, so we just laugh at that. In the original Shrek, Donkey was essentially Jeffrey Katzenberg making fun of, Disney's dependence on sidekicks to make the kids laugh. The Gargoyles, Mushu, and Turk, all those characters. Characters that really just are kind of annoying, like Jar Jar Binks.
Any true Star Wars fan just completely refuses to acknowledge the existence of Jar Jar Binks.
Thing is, I thought Disney had completely thrown that out the window, the whole dependence on sidekicks, because Meet the Robinsons, Bolt, Princess and the Frog, Tangled, Winnie the Pooh had none of them.
They didn't really have as much sidekick as they did buddies or partners. There wasn't really a main character plus his annoying sidekick. It was more of equals as they traveled on their journey. The Princess and the Frog had Naveen and Tiana. They were equal partners on their journey. In Bolt, you have Bolt and the cat. What's her name?
Mittens. When I say sidekick, I'm talking about, characters, not essentially the partner, but sometimes the character that's kind of just there. Rhino to me was not annoying. He was not, like Turk or, the Gargoyles, or you didn't have much of them in Tangled. They kind of did because, Pascal, but he doesn't speak. So for the better, though, sometimes I love it in animated films when they're not constantly jabbering. I just hope that the Vanellope von Schweetz character is more like something like Rhino and not, someone like Coda from Brother Bear or Turk from Tarzan. When's the last time you've seen Tarzan? Several scenes, she just pops in, always has something to say. It's like, shut up!
Yeah, well, the fact that she's Sarah Silverman, I like her in certain roles. I'm not quite a fan in others, so I'm curious, but it's the kind of film that you're really going to have to see in order to judge it, because just looking at the trailer, there's a lot of things you could pick at, but for most people, there's been pretty positive reviews for it, on just the trailer itself. Also, there's been some talk about the music that they chose for the trailer. You have Flo Rida's Good Feeling and Talking Heads' Once in a Lifetime.
Get rid of the former.
Flo Rida's Good Feeling would be good in any other trailer for any movie except Wreck-It Ralph.
I know, it's so out of place. Like, they could have used, another 80s song, maybe Pac-Man Fever, or maybe just some 80s song. Like, maybe they could have used, something more rockin'. I mean, if they wanted something that was up-tempo and, energetic, there's so many songs from the 80s to choose from. They didn't have to choose a Flo Rida song. I mean, I wish they didn't do that, because why should they have to pander?
Something like Daft Punk that Tron did
Yes.
would have been amazing, because you have the arcade thing going on, you have being in a game, and
it would have been criticized for being too similar, though.
it would, but at the same time it worked for a reason.
Considering that both films are Disney, it's not only that the song doesn't fit, it's loud, obnoxious, and it often kind of ruins the trailer.
And then you have Talking Heads Once in a Lifetime. It fits, it's not quite as in your face, it's more subtle. It's okay, it does its job.
Yeah, using an actual 80s song for a movie about an 80s 8-bit video game character.
You know what I'm wondering is, how much are we going to see of Ralph as he's in 8-bit? Is it just for little segments of him in the game, or is he going to actually have some action while he's 8-bit?
Actually, I was kind of hoping before the trailer came out that there would be a lot of art direction, different styles of art throughout, and I was hoping that Ralph's game would actually be animated in 8-bit. I mean, I'm fine the way it's supposed to look in the finished film, but that would have been really, really cool. But, I'll be satisfied. As long as the story's good, I'll be satisfied. Can't be a style over substance kind of thing.
It kind of reminds me of the sequence from The Princess and the Frog, Almost There, where Tiana sings and it changes to an Art Deco style.
And the Baxton song from Winnie the Pooh. That would have been really, really cool. And it would have made a very nice contrast, like when he gets into the more realistic, more modern games.
But we haven't seen it yet, so we're not sure exactly how much material is shown in his video game.
Well, judging by the still image and some of the things I've read from the test screening, we're going to see quite a bit of it in the first act of the movie. So overall, a very satisfying trailer. I mean, it's got its bugs and glitches, no pun intended, but it's a very good trailer. It's got, stylish animation. It's got some funny bits, all the video game references. Of course, I loved them because I love 80s arcade games. I used to research them. I used to study them like crazy when I was younger. So, I'm already there. And it's just a good trailer. I mean, it has the laughs. It gives you the gist of the movie, and it throws in all the references for the gamers.
If Disney keeps up this marketing campaign, some of their movies in the future might actually make some money and do well in the box office.
Well, with Rich Ross out and Alan Horn in, we might see some changes. At least they got the trailer out.
I'm surprised that they released the trailer so early when they only released the stills days before. Was it even the day before or on the same day?
Day before. Thing is, Disney, and we talked about this before in other videos, like we sort of covered it a few times, but Disney's marketing department has been so selective over the years, and what they did to Winnie the Pooh, what they did to John Carter, what they did to other films, let's not go there. But here's hoping they get their act together, market the hell out of this film so it's the next Tangled for them. Oh, and they don't have to worry about making the movie appeal to young boys because, of course, young boys avoided The Princess and the Frog because it was a girly princess movie. Duh.
Well, now they're going to have the problem of, is it going to appeal to younger girls? And is Sarah Silverman's character going to be enough to draw in the female audience?
It's very interesting because for the last couple of years, Disney was so paranoid about what boys would think of their films, and now they got one that is perfect for them. But that's the thing, though. Why is Disney pandering to kids? I mean, make it look appealing to adults, and of course, kids will still see it. I mean, that's why the older Disney films did so well.
Isn't Disney's next release going to be about an ice queen or ice princess? I haven't read up on that.
Ah, yes, the Snow Queen. But the name of the movie is Frozen because, again, it was either Rich Ross or M.T. Carney or one of the buffoons at Disney or on the marketing department that said, but boys are not going to see it. Look, Tangled was a hit.
Right, and it didn't have Rapunzel's name in the title.
There was already a movie that came out in 2010 called Frozen. It is kind of enigmatic in a way, like, ooh, next Disney movie, Frozen. What could that be about? I would have liked, the Snow Queen, the original. What if they did that to their older films? Like, what would you call Little Mermaid if it was made during the Rich Ross era? What would you call Beauty and the Beast? What would you call Mulan?
Underwater.
Washed? Sunk?
Let's see, Beauty and the Beast. Harry.
Beastly! No!
And what was the last one? Mulan? Warrior.
Warrior. Oh, they already have a movie called Warrior. Yeah. Well, you know The Great Mouse Detective, right? You know what that movie was originally going to be called? Basil of Baker Street, because that's what the books were named.
Okay, yeah, that would have been cool.
But then Jeffrey Katzenberg said, that's not going to appeal to kids.
Kids are going to see the commercials, they're going to see the characters, they're going to see it's animated, it has animals, and it looks funny and silly and goofy and whatever. And it doesn't matter because it's the parents that are going to be taking them, and the kids don't care about titles. I'm sorry, they don't.
When they retitled The Great Mouse Detective, a memo was issued at Walt Disney Feature Animation, and it suggested title changes, simple title changes for the older Disney classics. And if I remember correctly, like there was a puppet, the flying elephant, a dare in the woods. You know, I've got it. Here we go. After Basil of Baker Street was retitled, after it was retitled The Great Mouse Detective in early 1986, they issued a memo that went around Walt Disney Feature Animation. It's sort of a joke in a way. So they suggested simplistic titles. It says, along with the new title for Basil of Baker Street, it has been decided to rename the entire library of animated classics. The new titles are as follows: Seven Little Men Help a Girl, The Wooden Boy Who Became Real, Color and Music, The Wonderful Elephant Who Could Really Fly, The Little Deer Who Grew Up, The Girl with the See-Through Shoes, The Girl in the Imaginary World, The Amazing Flying Children, Two Dogs Fall in Love, The Girl...
Oh my gosh.
The Girl Who Seemed to Die, Puppies Taken Away, The Boy Who Would Be King, A Boy, a Bear, and a Big Black Cat.
I'm sorry, this is funny.
Robin Hood with Animals, Two Mice Save a Girl, A Fox and a Hound Are Friends,
Oh my gosh.
The Evil Bonehead, and of course, our latest classic destined to win the hearts of the American public, The Great Mouse Detective.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody should have found that memo and issued it when they retitled Rapunzel to Tangled. Well, basically, thumbs up to the Wreck-It Ralph trailer. What do you say?
Thumbs up to the Wreck-It Ralph title. Glad they didn't change it. It sounds masculine, but it sounds fun. Girls, go see it. Take your brothers, or have your brothers drag you to go see it.
You know what the working title was, right?
No.
Reboot Ralph. But I think they changed the title in order to avoid any similarities with the 1994 computer animated TV series of the same name. Or maybe they just didn't think it sounded right. I think Reboot was about computer games and such. It was kind of Tron-like. I've never seen it, so I don't know. Maybe one of you could tell us. So anyways, great trailer.
A potentially great film.
Soon to signal a new renaissance in Walt Disney Animation Studios. So thanks for listening. I'm KJO.
And I'm Kris.
Signing off. Not going in the video, not going in the video, not going in the video.